Good morning, ARMR Insiders. Welcome to the morning meeting of this virtual hedge fund experience. You're looking at MSOS, our cannabis core investment. We're going to get on the Cannabis Couch this morning. But before we dive into that, let's talk about risk monitor, the market, direction, what's happening with equally weighted versus weighted indexes as the market broadens out. We're prepared for it, and it has a big impact on cannabis. So it's going to dovetail right in. And then, of course, we'll wrap up with a discussion of our carry trading portfolio as we trade the S&P. The last 30 minutes, something very important is going on in the last 30 minutes. We've got to focus on it. So that's our agenda for today. You're a portfolio manager in a meeting before the market opens. You got to think like that. Take all the information that I'm sharing and whatever else you're reading, then find your strategy, risk tolerance goals, and execute that. At the end of the day, be the smart money, okay? So diving in first, let's just talk about a couple of big picture things. Let's look at the market right now. This is the S&P Equally Weighted Index, RSP. Now, in this green box right here, you'll remember, which is early February, that we had this very discussion in a morning meeting, and I shared with you that we're making RSP a big position in the ARMR Macro Fund, right? We got 4 funds: carry trade, macro, special situations where our individual stocks are, and our dividend fund. We'll touch on all 4 of those today during our discussion. But for this part of the discussion, we're talking macro, where we have our index investment. And in early February, I said to you, we're shifting capital. We've had a great run in the weighted index, and we're shifting capital to the rest of the market because we expect alpha to shift to the rest of the market. It's not that the weighted indexes are going to go down. They're not going to go down. We're in a wicked mechanical bull market. But where's the alpha to outperform? And it's going to be in broadening out. That was the comment I made back here in this green box. And you can see it's ripping higher. And in fact, yesterday, it's just one day, but this is a bit of a microcosm of what I'm talking about. As IBD highlights in their morning note, that RSP was up 1.6% to an all-time new high yesterday, which easily beat the equally weighted S&P, which is SPY down here, right? Had a much quieter day. And the same thing is true about the equally weighted NASDAQ 100, which was up about almost 1%. The NASDAQ weighted was down up about 0.4%. You can see it's actually a red candle, even though it was up a tad, which means it was down most of the day after it opened. Okay, so big takeaway from this part of the conversation, talking about the ARMR macro portfolio. We've shifted already to equally weighted S&P to capture that alpha. And now we're really stepping on the gas. If this shift in the mechanical bull market continues, as I expect it will, then small caps are going to have their day, probably their week, probably their couple of months. If we're a student of the market and we go back and look at other times where the stock market has been in a ripping mechanical bull market, it generally doesn't end without an explosion in small caps, which means speculation goes berserk. And that end of the run is a magical thing if you capture it correctly. Got to be on it early, got to sell into it when it gets excessive. Now's the time, in our opinion, to have our exposure, appropriate exposure. So in the macro fund, we added to our small cap position, which is UWM. It's twice the performance of small caps. And in our special situations fund, we went out on a limb and added TNA, which is triple the small caps. Don't forget, we use stops. I've tried this a couple times in the last couple months. I've been stopped out. I go back to cash. I wait. One of these entry points we're going to capture, and it's going to go berserk, and we're going to have a real fun ride. And the minute somebody opens their mouth and starts talking to you about PE ratios, you could just you should be doing what happens, in that Christmas special for Charlie Brown, when the teacher starts speaking, wah, wah, wah. Like none of the rest of it matters if they start telling you that the PE ratios aren't right. Okay, PE ratios, it all has to do with capital flooding the system. If there's more liquidity in the system, PE ratios are going to go up. It's that simple. So don't bring that kind of weak sauce into this room because it's a complete waste of time. And every indicator like that, they're not indicators. They're symptoms of a mechanical bull market. We have an indicator that will tell us when this mechanical bull market is over. And I say that in all humility. The risk monitor told us when the mechanical bull market was starting. Right back here is when we were putting money to work in the mechanical bull market at the very beginning. And that same indicator, tool, process that helped us identify that entry point will help us identify the end whenever it comes. And it's called confluence, the institutional footprint. It's a different way of looking at investors' business daily distribution, right? What we're looking at is all of our indexes. There's 10 of them. And when they all communicate the same way, there's only one animal that does that, and that's institutions. And when they start taking money out of the market, we'll see it across every index. And that's when we know this game is up. That's the only thing you need to worry about. That last night, Chairman Xi of China told his central bank to begin buying treasuries again. What? To begin buying treasuries again. After a decade hiatus. A 2-decade hiatus. They're going to be buying treasuries. Massive amounts of liquidity, guys. What does that do for gold, silver, energy, right? If the Chinese economy starts to grind higher because they're adding that kind of liquidity, they're going to be sucking up natural resources. We're in a mechanical bull market, and we got a huge player over here starting to throw huge amount of liquidity at treasuries to stoke the economy, something they haven't done in 2 decades. Hold on tight. Before this run is over, there should be an epic move in small caps and speculatives. And so what we want to do is position for it now and let everybody else mark up our portfolio. Let's shift now and talk about the highlighted small cap speculative investment idea on our couch. We call it the Cannabis Couch. I'm glad you could join me. Okay. I'm going to show you how we're making money in cannabis. We've been making money in cannabis since 2020. ARMR insiders can attest to this. We crushed it in 2020. We avoided the collapse. We're making money again in 2024. And you know why? Don't hate the player, hate the game. You know why we make money in cannabis? Because I'm not going to sit here for a second telling you what the DEA might do or the government might do or Chuck Schumer's going to say. None of that stuff should ever factor into your decision on how to invest in cannabis. It's that simple. In fact, we have a game here on this trading desk, kind of like the old drinking game you remember from college. Every single time Chuck or Kamala open their mouth and babble about cannabis, we take a bong hit. That's it. That's all you should do when they open their mouth. It should have nothing to do with investing. You cannot make money in cannabis guessing when the DEA is going to make some announcement. We don't know. They may never make an announcement. I don't know. So let's talk about how to make money in cannabis. I'm going to give you 3 stocks that we own in our portfolio. That's it. Maybe I'll give you a couple bonuses and give you 2 more. There's 5 total. Okay. But there's 3 primary investments in our portfolio right now for cannabis. The first and always the focus is MSOS, okay? And here's how we make money in this asset. We use ARMR algo buy triggers. We put capital to work when there's the right structure using basic technical charting analysis. This green box right here is when we started buying MSOS again, right? And when it runs up, in this case, 3 standard deviations above the 200-day moving average, tags that line, we raise our stops, and we take profits right here in that yellow box. Now, we might take all of our gains there. We might take half of our gains there. Whatever the number, we're booking profits up here, and then we trade around the core. Worst case scenario comes back to where we bought it. We're out of the rest of our position. We made some money trading cannabis. Best case scenario, it does what it just did, which is it sells off but stays above our stops and gives us another buy trigger, which it does right here on that green, that second green bar. And so what we sold up here, we load back up here. Now it starts to run again. I'm not going to get carried away with excitement. I'm not going to talk to you about what should happen this weekend at the DEA. I don't know. I don't care. I'm going to trade around the core. If it gets overextended and I raise my stops and the stops get hit, I'm going to book some profits. Now, here's what I did last time in that yellow box personally. This is just personal. This is not a recommendation. None of this is a recommendation. Do your own homework, blah, 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 right? Risk and reward and all that kind of stuff. But what I did personally, just to share with you for the fun of it, is on that first pop up there, I booked all of my profits. I exited the whole position and I took all of those gains and I bought calls and MSOS and I walk away. I walk away. Either I lose all that money, which is the house money, so that's just the way it went, but my principal is not going to be impacted, right? Or I get lucky and I recognize completely that it's luck. If Chuck and Kamala and the DEA and Merrick Garland do something right, it's pure luck. And my next boat, I'm going to christen the Canna Queen. True story. That'll buy my next boat, and I'll call it the Canna Queen, and that'll be so much fun. Okay, so that's the dream, and I put it over here, and I don't look at it. But for reality's sake, for capital that I'm running, I trade around the core. Book some of the profits, sells off, wait, get another buy trigger, put the trade back on, fill it up, see where it goes from here, and we'll just trade it. The single biggest individual stock investment that we own in cannabis is Innovative Properties, okay? I said to you January 1st of 2020 that the single best risk-adjusted way to play cannabis was this stock. It went from 70, 300 and something and paid fat dividends all the way. I submit to you, it's going to do that again. It will be the best risk-adjusted way to play the cannabis story at this stage. At this stage, what did I say? Three something. It got to 290 and change. Okay. Got to 290 and change. 280 something and change. All right. Risk adjusted. What does that mean? Are there individual cannabis stocks that might go up on a percentage wise bigger than Innovative Properties? Sure. It's possible. It's probable. But from a risk adjusted point of view, I'm going to own a REIT that pays me a dividend that's getting stronger, by the way, that dividend. And here's the only thing you have to think about at this stage in the cycle. We can debate this issue later, but I'm going to tell you why. One reason why this is the best individual stock investment at this stage in the cannabis cycle. It's the only company trading on the New York Stock Exchange that any brokerage firm will let you buy. There are brokerage firms that won't let you buy Trulieve, Green Thumb, and all those other things. They trade on the Canadian Stock Exchange, the wild, wild west up there. There are brokerage firms don't let you buy MSOS and ETF. They won't let you buy it. They'll all let you buy Innovative Properties. You know why? It's just a grow facility. It's a REIT that owns grow facilities. They don't touch what's grown there, and somehow the compliance officers think that's okay. Great. That's great. Because whenever a story comes out that advances the cannabis investment theme, and a lot of people want to touch the leaf and they can't do it, where are they going to go? Into this stock. It's the easiest, safest way to do it. And at the end of the day, when money tries to get into the space aggressively, there's a lot of money trying to get into a little space, and this is the way to play it immediately. So I expect this to rip higher 6 months, 12 months later, when Trulieve gets uplisted to the New York Stock Exchange or the NASDAQ or whatever. Yeah. Then we could talk about all the other investments, and we probably take money out of this one, as will every other institution. You see what I'm saying? Because it's already up big, and they're going to use it to fund, hey, let's go buy Trulieve. Now I can buy that. It's on an American stock, New York Stock Exchange, whatever. But right now, at this stage, this is the way to play it. Again, just like in 2000. So it's my biggest individual position. And I'll round it out with this. OGI we bought yesterday. Okay. I've been waiting to buy OGI. Oh my God, I thought I missed it because this was the green box to buy it. I didn't buy it. I kind of dragged my feet. It blew out. I was, oh gosh, I can't believe it. Then they announced a convertible debt deal, raising cash and investing in a U.S. extraction company, which will help them get into the U.S. market as soon as things get approved, right? Stock got hammered on that news, down to $2. That made absolutely no sense to me. And I said, I'm not going to look the proverbial gift horse in the mouth. I missed the original move from $2 to $3. And now, for whatever ridiculous reasons, they're selling it off down to $2. I'm in. I'm taking that position. I don't know. I think I paid around $2.12 for it. Goes below $2. That's my stop. I'll get out. I'm willing to take that risk. But that looked like a gift horse. I'm not looking at it. I'm putting a saddle on his back. I'm not even going to look at his head. I'm just going to put a saddle on his back and ride. That's what that was to me yesterday. So I added that to the portfolio. Those are our cannabis investments. That's the Cannabis Couch. I hope you find it helpful. At the end of the day, you got to figure out your risk tolerance, what you're trying to do with your capital, and be the smart money on your own. Okay. It's not easy to make money in cannabis investment. Keep your head about you when all others are losing theirs. Okay. Stay disciplined, execute your strategy. Make sure you're moving your stops up as you're making money. Don't get greedy. All right. Be happy with what you're making. Take positions before they explode. Don't be the guy that's loading up as things are already exploding. If you miss something, you'll find something else. Just be patient. At the end of the day, you got to be the smart money. Listen, I really enjoy working with you guys. There's 3 ways to engage with the ARMR Investing Way. The ARMR Report, we're making it available to all of you. You get the morning notes, live in the morning meeting. You can ask questions if you want right there in the YouTube comment section. I'm happy to answer those questions for all ARMR Report subscribers. It's $49 a month. You can join us for this morning call and then execute your strategy on your own the rest of the day. That's a new offering for you guys. ARMR Insiders. I'll see you at 9:30. We'll get the live trade going. We'll be live streaming all day right through the close, sometimes after the close, depending on what's happening. And I thank all of you for joining me in that room. It makes all of us better, including myself. You guys bring some huge ideas into the room, and I really appreciate it. And of course, if you need me to, I can manage capital for you. If you can't be on the desk all day, you got a new job, now you can't trade, you need someone to help you out there. Certainly I can do that. Let's just see, though. Give me a call and we'll chat to see if it makes sense for us to work together. All right, everybody have a wonderful trading session. And of course, at the end of the day, be the smart money guys.